what is this music? It's music of such stillness and such quietness. Hi, I'm Matthew Barley, and I'm very excited to come to Sydney and play this gorgeous piece by John Tavener, The Protecting Veil. The way I usually describe it is I say it's one of the biggest cello concertos ever written. The cello plays the first note and the last note and doesn't stop playing in between. It's an absolute marathon for the cellist. It involves a huge amount of physical, mental, emotional stamina. I remember the first time I heard it. I mean, I can still kind of locate the sort of visceral memory inside of thinking, what is this music? And it's an extraordinary experience to play it. It's really amazing. The musical material is quite simple in many ways. There are a couple of themes that go around and they go in different directions each time. We're dealing with really basic emotions. We're dealing with deep grief, absolute elation, a deep peace, fear, anguish, and the way he brings out the universality in all these emotions, I think just makes it very, very relatable for the audience. It's the sound that conveys the story. I met John several times. I ended up spending a day with him not that long before he died, playing The Protecting Veil. I asked if he'd be happy to listen and make some comments. We had a fascinating day together, which was really, really illuminating. John was brilliant. He looked like an icon. He had this very, very thin face and long hair. But he was full of wonderful, I was going to say contradictions. Maybe they're not contradictions at all. He was a very spiritual, a very inward, a very religious man, but he also had a wicked sense of humor, and loved to collect vintage sports cars. And of which he had a great collection at his home down in Winchester, and used to hang out with the Beatles in the 60s. You know, I wish I'd got to know him better. I wouldn't have called him a friend, but I'm sure he must have been a fascinating person to really get to know. Wonderful sense of humor. And working with him on the cello was also great. He listens, he listens in a way that's very like his music. He's listening to something way, way through the notes. And his feedback was very sort of choice, and he was much more interested in talking about the atmosphere, and the spirit behind it, and the sort of general sound worlds. He'd make a few comments about some details. So it's a wonderful process of discovery, you know, meeting the spirit of that work and taking it on the next stage of the adventure. What I feel in the performances where it really works for me, what I feel is that everybody just drops down into a super, super, super relaxed state. It's music of such stillness and such quietness. I mean, for me, it's a very, very sacred experience to be able to share music with a lot of other people. And in that communion, if it works well for me, I get to a place where I don't feel I'm the performer. This is a piece of music. Those guys over there are listening. It's just, there's something happening energetically, that we're all taking part in. And I think one of the beautiful things about instrumental music is the variety of personal experience everybody can have is kind of endless. You know, some people daydream and think about their life. Some people are seeing images. Some people are sort of fiercely connected with watching the musician, and every one of those ways is just perfect. I find it kind of astonishing that every single person down there is going to be having a different experience, but united somehow in that moment of sharing that sound. So it's a very special thing.